Hi guys, going to start another bike today. As I was telling you in the last couple videos, I've got the TC125 Suzuki that's a gentleman from Texas brought me, and we're going to go through it. And there's a little bit of a story behind it, so I'm going to let you in on it the best that I can. It would be better coming from him, but I think I got the gist of it. Anyhow, oh, we got airplanes coming in. Okay, the gist of this is he bought the bike brand new and had it since 1974, 73, something like that. This is a 73, and I think it was sold to him in 74, so it was a carryover. Anyhow, he had it all this time, and at some point he decided to sell it, and he did. And some point later he decided that he wanted to try to get it back, so he went back to the guy that he bought or that he sold it to, and he agreed to sell it back to him. So he's got it back, and he wants it restored to a reasonable fashion, you know, something that looks good, something that drives good, but not necessarily nut and bolt correct. So that's kind of where we're at. So let me get you handheld here, and I will take you around and kind of show you the bike. Okay, I've removed some of the items from it already. The engine is seized up, and I'll show you more about that here shortly. But it's going to need some work. At some point the fenders were painted over the chrome. I don't know what the front one is going to look like when I get the paint removed, so we don't know what we're going to have to do yet. The same for, well, pretty much all the chrome parts. I'm going to have to remove the paint and kind of start from scratch on that. It's going to need new wheels, new rims, and it may need forks. You can see the rust on the tubes here. I'll have to discuss with him whether he wants to go that far or not. Sometimes you can locate used fork tubes, and sometimes you can't, and at which point you have to send these off to get them. They'll grind them down, re-chrome them, and then grind them down again. There's an outfit in California that does that, electronic chrome plating or something like that. And fork tubing is not decorative chrome. It is hard chrome plating, so it is different than decorative chrome that would be on something like the fender. But the good thing is the side panels are all there. It does seem to be pretty complete. It's going to need an ignition switch. I did find already a rear fender for it, so that will help. And it will also need a rear wheel, so we'll be lacing two wheels. And I was able to source a little bit nicer tank, and this one's pretty rusty inside. The one that I was able to source is very clean. This one I see it does have a little crack here, but we'll be able to fiberglass that on the inside and put a little putty on the outside, and you won't even know that. So that kind of stuff is easily fixed. Other than that, you know, the gauges seem to be there. I'm not sure whether they're operative or not, but we'll have to take them apart and clean them up as we did the last one. Okay, I've just got the head setting here on here. I just wanted to kind of show it complete to you. And like I said, the piston is seized, and I've had it soaking for quite a while. Let me get a light. Okay, hopefully this, probably have to go around the other side, but I think you can kind of see it here. The reason, or the way that I can tell that the piston is seized in the cylinder is that I can kick it over at this point and see it raises the cylinder off the case. So I know that it's turning at the crankshaft, but it's the piston is not going up and down in the cylinder. So that's kind of how I can tell. But anyhow, I just wanted to show you kind of a beginning, even though that I've been trying to get the cylinder free already. I just wanted to show you kind of what we had to start with. This has been soaking. The customer had poured Marvel Mystery Oil into it, and it was soaking. So I'm not real sure how long. It's at least a month now, and so far it's still pretty tight. Well, it's still real tight. I haven't been able to move it. So I took the tank off, and with a rubber mallet, I whacked it a couple times here on the top of the piston just to see if it would move, and nothing so far. It was pretty well rusted up through the carburetor port also, so I sprayed Kroll oil up into there, and that's been setting. So the next step is we're going to have to remove the engine, and at which point we can get it up on the bench, and we'll be able to drive a little bit more here, and we'll see if we can knock it loose. We've got other things we can do. We just hope we don't have to do them. So we'll see what we can do here just with a rubber mallet and another hammer. So let me get this thing out. Well, that one's kind of hard to get to back there. Ooh, that one's rusty all the way out. That one's about like it. There's a rock in there holding it all together, I think. Alright, I think we've got her loosened up here. Let's see if we can get it to come out. Oh yeah. Well, I guess I better take this oil line loose. Let me get the oil line taken care of and I'll get you back in here. Alright, get that pesky line undone. Now I've got the battery one there. That's no problem. Alright, we're out. Okay, what I did here was I took a scribe and went around the circumference of the piston there to just clear out any debris between the cylinder and the piston. And I did give it a whack right in the center here. I put a plastic hammer and then hit the plastic hammer with a steel hammer to see if I could move it, and it did not move at all. I see some pecker marks up here. I did not do those. The firing area here, the top of the sleeve, feels good, so I don't think that there's going to be a sealing problem, but I'm not sure what all that's about. You can see it there. Anyhow, I'm going to let this soak for a few days and just see if this Kroll oil that's what it is right there, we'll break that loose. I've had very good luck with that. I usually use Marvel Mystery Oil, and that's what the gentleman had put in it, and I put some more in it, but it's not working. And up inside there, you can see a little bit of rust, and I can put some oil in there, and it just wants to run this way, of course. And then in the intake port, I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to see, but there's quite a bit of rust in there. But when I put the oil in there, it runs down. So and it runs down quickly. So it's not froze below the intake port, not on the intake side anyway. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. We'll wait a little while. I can if I can't get it to move, I can take a hole saw and cut the middle here, and I believe I can just cut the center portion of the piston out so the rod will come down, cylinder will come off, and then I can chip away at the piston to get it out of there. I don't care about the piston, but I do care about the cylinder. So it's a standard bore, and I'm hoping that I could, probably put a 1/over piston in it and get it to clean up. But if it doesn't, at least I've got 2nd over I can go to. I just, you just don't want to do something that you're going to tear the cylinder up. So we're just going to wait a little while and see what this does, if anything. Hi guys. I think what I'm going to do on this seized piston is build a plate that has like a pusher in the middle of it, so that I can bolt it on to the where the head bolts go, and then push that piston down. This is what I've come up with. I'm gonna drill these 4 out here so that my head bolts will go in there. These right here. And then I'm going to drill one out in the middle, and that's going to be I just happen to have a broken puller bolt here, so it should be a hard bolt, and it's 9/16 12, so I'll tap this middle hole for 9/16 12, and then these will just be cut to I think 1/2 inch is what it's going to be for this. So that's what we're going to do. Don't know whether I'm going to need it, but we've still got it soaking here, and it doesn't seem like it's going down any, so I think it's stuck pretty good. Okay, the tap drill size is 31/64 for the center one that we're going to tap the threads on. I don't know whether I mentioned that this is 9/16 12. So, like I said, the tap drill for that is 31/64. I've got a tap follower in here to apply some light pressure on it, and this keeps it lined up. It keeps it straight. You got to back it up once in a while and clear those threads, otherwise you'll end up breaking your tap. All right, looks like we're through. Okay, we're going to give it a try, guys. I'm going to slip a little piece of aluminum wafer that I cut out of something in there, and a pusher. And let me get that centered on my pusher there. Okay. I'm not going to go too tight because I was talking with Kevin Bergeron, and he said that you got to watch it because you might end up pulling a stud out of the engine. So we're going to take it easy. I want as many threads as I can get on these head bolts, so that I've got, it's again when you got one shot, make it a good one type thing. So that's where we're at. Okay, all those are down. Oh, wait a minute, maybe they're not. Yeah, they are. Okay. Everything's still centered in there, so we're going to tighten her up a little bit and see where it goes. Use a screwdriver to kind of hold it. Give her a little whack here. Oh, that screw's loose after that strike with the hammer. Yep, I can see it. I don't know if you can or not. See the mark I put on the flywheel here. You get this mark, and it's moved forward. So it's moved it some. Let's try it again. Yep. Something's moving. Yep, every time. Yeah, it's moving further on the flywheel. It's really stuck. There. Gives a little bit once in a while. There. A little more frequent. See the line there? It's moving on back. We've moved it an inch on the flywheel. Okay, I think we better look. See our progress. I don't want to get too overzealous. Oh yeah, she's moved down. Let me get a light here so you can see. All right. See where it was and where it is now. We've uncovered the exhaust port. So progress is being made. So I'm going to get back to it a little bit. I had you magnify it a little bit, so sometimes it doesn't come in clear. So I just want to try it again without the magnification so you can a little better view in there, maybe it'll focus. So you can see we've moved her down, a little over ½ inch probably in the cylinder, but we've gone more than an inch on the flywheel. So let me get back on there and I'll bring you back. All right, let's give her a little bit more here. It's gotten tight again. Okay, I've got her down all the way as I can go, so I had to raise the cylinder up So I'll have to block it under here so I can continue down because it's still tight. I'm looking at the crankshaft in there and it looks nasty. So I'm afraid, well, I know that's all going to have to be redone. So we're further down. We're at the bottom of the stroke. We're just below the exhaust port. So let me get this blocked up here and I'll continue on. Okay, I've run out of bolts, so the head bolts will no longer grasp the studs, and I put an inch spacer down here below it, holding it together with the vise or the clamp, and going to start driving it. I've still got the aluminum piece inside. Check everything, make sure it all looks good. Okay, it's you can start to see the skirt at the bottom of the cylinder now. Yep, still moving. I think I'm gonna have to raise it up some more under here, but it's still going. Okay, I've got another 3/4 of an inch of square tubing underneath there. Let me give you a peek of where we're at. So you can see we've cleared the exhaust port and the transfers. And we're working on the intake now. Still going. We're just about out. I've got 2 inches of space down here now. There it is. There it is. Let me get you a little better look. Okay, you can see what I had to do here. I put the 2-inch 2x1, actually it's 1 this way, 2 the other way, there to block the cylinder up. And here's a look at the piston. We didn't really damage it any on top. I really thought I'd cave it in, but never did. But you can see how rusty the crankshaft is down there. So it's, I don't know, it may need a crank, but for sure it's going to need new rod and bearings. Okay, let's take a look at the cylinder now. Let me make her a little room. Okay. Looks pretty bad, but since it's standard, we may be able to get an overbore out of it. We'll see. But it was a son of a gun all the way. Okay, here again was our setup. I just made a plate that would fit the bolt pattern, used the head gasket to make it, and made the holes big enough for the bolts to go through, and then tapped the center. And in this case, you could probably use like a 1/2 inch bolt or something if you wanted, but I had that one. And you just want to put something on there so you just don't tear the crap out of the top of the piston. I really thought I was going to anyway, but it turned out okay. And you can see that the bottom of this has turned concave to match the top of the piston from all the pressure and the beating on it. So it took a lot of pressure. I had that on top of the piston, and then this on top of it, and then the point into the hole on that, and that way it kept it centered. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'd end up with that rod or the bolt kind of moving around in there. This one is probably a hardened bolt since it came with a puller, but if you use like a 1/2 inch bolt or something, you'd sure want to have some way to center it. And I went over and just rinsed this out. Didn't do a very good clean job, but you can tell where we were and where we went. So I'll probably do a hone on it and then measure it and see where we're at and just see if it'll clean up. If not, then we'll have to bore it. But it was tight all the way out. And then the piston and the rod and the crank, it's just a mess in there. I'm sure it's going to extend to all the main bearings. And of course, you know, you're going to replace those anyway, but if it gets to the main bearings, it's probably going to get into the transmission. So I just hope the seals did their job. Anyway, that's probably going to do it for this video. We took the engine out of the frame. We soaked the crap out of the piston and cylinder. The owner actually, I think he had it soaking probably a month before I got it, if not longer. And then I cleaned it up, soaked it some more, and we still had a dickens of a time. So you might think about that process, but again, Kevin warned me to make sure that you don't over tighten those, because, you know, especially you don't want to get an impact in there, because you can pull those bolts, you know, the studs right out of the case, and once you've done that, you've ruined it. So if you try this technique, be careful. That's all I can say. If you like what's going on here, please give me a thumbs up and a subscription if you haven't already. If you have, thank you very much. And thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.